morning.
Good morning.
So we are finally ready for Exodus, right? Wow. So Exodus chapter 1 is not a real long chapter, but it says, "Now these are the names of the sons of Israel who came to Egypt with Jacob. They came each one with his household: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. All the persons who came from the loins of Jacob were 70 in number, but Joseph was already in Egypt." Okay, so as you remember, Joseph was there. We already talked about that, but he was there. He didn't come with Jacob. He was already there. It says, "Joseph died and all his brothers and all that generation." So in other words, so now Joseph is gone. All his brothers are gone. They've all died and passed on. As we are promised, everybody will die. Okay, everybody will eventually die. It says, in verse 7, it says, "But the sons of Israel were fruitful and increased greatly and multiplied and became exceedingly mighty, so that the land was filled with them." Now, do you see the promise coming true? The promise that God made to Abraham: "I will make you a great number. I will make you," even when you pass between the animals that Abraham had cut in half, God passed between them. He told them they would go into Egypt and they would become a great nation there. Does that make sense? And that God sent them there. He sent Joseph ahead to take care of them. And then once they were there, here they had these people that had the best of the land in that part of the world, and all these people were taking care of them until a new Pharaoh comes in, at least anyway. And we're fixing to see the new Pharaoh. You guys can go on through. It's all right.
Don't be camera shy.
It says, "Now a new king arose over Egypt, who did not know Joseph." Okay, so that could be a problem. Wendy, come in and sit down. So that could be a problem. The Pharaoh that was there saw that God blessed with everything that Joseph did, right? And a new Pharaoh, if he would come in and would know about Joseph, even though Joseph was gone, maybe he would be nice to the children of Israel. But this guy knew nothing about Joseph or anything about them. So he says, "He did not know Joseph." He said to his people, "Behold, the people of the sons of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come, let us deal wisely with them, or else they will multiply, and in the event of war, they will also join themselves to those who hate us, and fight against us, and depart from the land." So, if they were mightier than them, okay, I have to ask the question, why would you allow them to take you slave if you were mightier than them, if there was more of them? But, obviously, we have to see the hand of God here. This was still the sovereign design, the sovereign will of God. God was still totally in control of every bit of this, okay? God had told Jacob about it in this when he made that covenant with him. Remember, way back, told him that your descendants will be slaves in Egypt. It didn't matter if they were greater and more. God meant for it to be that way, and that's the way it all worked out, okay? So they appointed taskmasters over them to afflict them with hard labor. Basically, they put them in slavery. They made them work hard. They made them do what they said. And they built for Pharaoh storage cities, Pithom and Ramesses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied, and the more they spread out, so that they were in dread of the sons of Israel. So they were afflicting them. They were beating them, forcing them to work hard. But because they worked hard, guess what that does to your body? It makes you healthy, makes you strong, it gave them more of a to be honest, probably more of a, give them more stamina. I don't know, maybe more of where they wanted to go home and have their wives hold them, so that they, to comfort them from where they've been beaten, mistreated. Therefore, there was more babies, more healthy babies, because they came from healthy men. Remember, Jacob, he put the colored sticks in front of the strong males caused them to. There again, that was God. Okay, God in control of it. The Egyptians compelled the sons of Israel to labor rigorously, and they made their lives bitter with hard labor in mortar and bricks, and all kinds of labor in the fields. All their labor, which they rigorously imposed on them. Then the king of Egypt spoke to the Hebrew midwives. Who were midwives?
Who would help with the women when they're...
Yeah, they help the pregnant women when they're going to have babies. One of whom was named Sapphira, and the other was named Po. And he said, when you are helping the Hebrew women to give birth, and see them upon the birth stool, if it is a son, then you shall put him to death. But if it is a daughter, then she shall live. So here Pharaoh, he sees, man, they're just multiplying like crazy. And they're going to be strong to take us over, so kill all the boys, but don't kill the girls. But the midwives feared God. Why did the midwives fear God? They didn't know God. They worshipped idols, pagans. Because God put it in their heart to fear Him. There was no other reason. There was no church there. There was no commandments there. There was nothing that revealed God to them there. It was purely God put it in their heart. God went against their will, and He caused them to fear Him. He made them do what He wanted them to do. I know we don't like that. God would never force anybody to do something they don't want to do. Yeah? If you're a Christian, then God doesn't force you, but He does cause you, okay, to seek Him, to love Him. Because otherwise you are a slave to Satan, you belong to Satan, and just like the children of Israel are in slavery right here and now, they cannot walk away from that slavery. They're enslaved to Him just like someone is enslaved to Satan, unless someone purchases them or saves them out of that slavery. They are slaves to Satan. Same way here. But the midwives feared God and did not do as the king of Egypt had commanded them, but let the boys live. So the king of Egypt called for the midwives and said to them, why have you done this? Why have you done this thing and let the boys live? The midwives said to Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are vigorous and give birth before the midwives can get to them. So, once again, the hard work that they were putting on the children of Israel, it made them strong. They could have the babies without the help of and that, once again, was a design of God. Okay, God worked all that out. And verse 20 says, So God was good to the midwives, and the people multiplied and became very mighty. Because the midwives feared God, He established households for them. Then Pharaoh commanded all his people, saying, every son who is born you are to cast into the Nile, and every daughter you are to keep alive. Okay? So, then we are going to see, tomorrow we'll talk about the birth of Moses. But you can see here Pharaoh people try all the time to frustrate or to control them. Kind of like when people take birth control. And every now and then you'll hear a story of someone who had their tubes tied or took birth control. They have a baby anyway. The long and short of it is, if God wants someone to have a baby, no woman has ever had a baby because a man has sex with her. Women have babies because God causes them to have babies. long and the short of it is we try to control things, and but the reason we try to control things is because we don't trust God. When a person takes a birth control pill, it is because they do not trust God. They're trusting man and trusting self. A lot of people don't like that, but that's just the truth of it. And the thing is we have to learn to trust God and realize He is sovereignly in control, and He is going to control it in His way, whether we like it or not. Alright, any thoughts? Alright, that was kind of short, I know, but we have some Charlie needs to get ready for school here, right? Alright, so guys, let's close in prayer and we can get our day started. Father God, thank you for this day, Lord. I thank you for being with us through the night. Father, I thank you that you are completely sovereign. Sovereignly in control of everything that is said and done in this world. I thank you, Father, that you are powerful, mighty, that you are everywhere, that you know all things. And Father, I pray that you would help us as a family to share that truth with the world around us. Lord, I just pray that you go with us today. Help us to get the things done we need to do.